Would you describe like you getting into martial arts and combat sports? Was that something that you were just immediately a natural at, or did it feel like it was something where you had to really work to get some success in that regard?
Well, I liked it. So I started martial arts when I was a kid. When I was 12. And one of the things about our style, the style I was at was not really geared towards kids, really, because it was really basically they'd show you a technique and they'd say you have to go over there and do it 500 times on each side, and then we'll look at it and see if you can do it. And then they do it. And I'm an ADD kid. I was all over the place. Like, you know, when I was like in fourth grade, the teacher told my mom she needed to get me on Ritalin. My mom's all, nah, that's a Band-Aid. I'm not doing that to my son. So So why don't you challenge him?
I feel like that's just like the craziest thing to do to a kid.
Yeah, so challenge him. If you want to keep his attention, challenge him.
Right.
You know, which is really what I needed. But what I did when I was at karate was you know, a lot of people had a high attrition rate at the school I was at about 3 to 6 months, because people could, when they get their first belt and if you figure out that, and for me, it was like, that's when I figured out that there's no magic to this. It's just hard work.
Yeah.
But I also at the same time figured out if I work harder than you, if I learn more than you, if I practice more than you, I can get better than guys that have been there longer than me.
Right.
I could beat guys that are better than me. And for me, that was the thing. When that clicked in my head, I was there all the time. You know, I used to be, they couldn't get rid of me. I could take, you know, I always look back and I look back at my growing up, you know, like as I went to karate all the time. Like I'd go after wrestling practice, go after football practice.
Right.
I get home, I'd rush home, do stuff. So my mom let me go train some more at the gym.
And you weren't thinking about anything that you could potentially do with this, right?
Like when I was in high school, I said a long time ago, when I was in high school, there was no I graduated in 88. UFC, first UFC was 93. The funny thing I used to say was the thing I'm best at was not street fighting, was what I thought I was best at in the world.
There's definitely not supposed to be a future in that.
There was no future in it. Yeah. I'm sad the best thing I'm the best at, I can't make money doing.
Yeah.
And I actually said that before when I was a kid.
Did it feel kind of like serendipity when the UFC sort of came along and you realized like, oh, okay, this is for me?
Well, that was down the road, because I started wrestling, and then when I finished wrestling, I started kickboxing just to keep competing. And while I was finishing school, and then as I was doing kickboxing, then after I graduated, I kind of was liking kickboxing, was trying to do that, to kind of push that out, to try to make that a living, but it wasn't much. Didn't pay much. A lot of fun, great, but there was not much, you know. And then. And the UFC had come along during that time, but like it was like everyone's like, oh man, you should be in the UFC. Like my friend Lorenzo Neal's a good friend of mine, but you could come down, man. You need to be in this. You're a fighter, and you wrestler. You got to do this. Like, but like no one knew how to get into it.
Right.
And then someone offered me a mixed fight. Nick Blomgren, One Kick Blomgren, offered me a mixed fight and at some like an open hand strike fight in Vegas, and I went and did it, kicked the guy in the head in the first round, knocked him out, and someone said, hey, you want to fight in the UFC? I'm like, yes, finally. Yeah, let's go.
It's crazy how difficult it felt to figure out everything back in the day, whereas now it's like if you could literally ask ChatGPT as if Googling it wasn't good enough, but like everything is just mapped out for you now, whereas like back in the day, dude, it was like,
I mean, shoot, when I came in, we were just getting into this, but I was UFC 17 was my first one. And we were just trying to figure out how to train. How do you mix everything together? How, you know, and one of the big things for us was, you get guys stand straight up when they're kickboxing, you know, and then you get a lower stance when you're wrestling. And then when you're fighting, you're kind of in a middle stance in between. And it threw my timing off there for everything. So like, we just started trying to I got to get my stance to where I'm going to fight.
Right.
And that's my stance.
Yeah, that's one of the things I wrote down that I wanted to ask you. Like when you look back at your days of training, does it feel kind of prehistoric compared to the sort of state of the art technology and all of the really well thought out methods that dudes are using to train now?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But we were just, like I said, we were trying, they're learning from us. They're probably taking it from the stuff we did. How we put it together. Like one of our things is we started doing with sparring is we'd always do it because you get so comfortable sparring that you can shoot anytime. So even though we're just stand-up sparring, you can shoot. So you have to stay in your stance so you don't get taken down. But nowadays, like I said, we were trying to figure out how to mix the sports together, the different sports together.
Yeah.
And now you guys get guys coming and they got guys that know how to mix it together.
Right.
They come in and now we just got to figure out what's your specialty, what are you good at, what you're not good at.
Right.
And they have nutritionists and strength coaches and all that stuff. And we started getting those, but we were kind of adding those things on as we went, adding those little pieces and trying to get better and better as you're training. And
definitely, they're like a lot of people gave you a hard time during certain fights because you'd be kind of out partying, like too close to the fight and everything like that.
See, people don't realize that I didn't drink 8 weeks out from a fight.
Okay. You just cut it off.
I cut it off, and but the guys would like laugh because I used to go get my friends in because I went to, but my sleep schedule was 2:00 at night. So when I go to sleep, because I fight at 9:00 at night. Right. So if I'm getting up at 6:00 in the morning, go to sleep at 9, my body's shutting down. Before I fight. Yeah. It's chemically get ready to go to bed. Right. So I move it to 2:00. So my 2:00. So when I go to Vegas, like my buddies couldn't get into a club by themselves back then. Right. And so I'd go on a Friday before a Saturday fight or a Thursday before a Friday fight, walk them in, get them set up somewhere. See you guys. Right. And walk back out. And every time I did that, the door guy would be like, I really didn't think you were coming back out. I thought you were going to stand there. And I remember Tito saying I won one fight after I lost that I was out drinking at that place. I'm like, that's absolutely false. Right. So do you think people want you to be this sort of like cowboy party animal type dude more than you actually were? I mean, don't get me wrong, I got after it afterwards. But I'm a very regimented person. I was good, really regimented with my diet coming into fights and my training and what I did. And so I had my rules, and it was, for me, if I follow my rules, it makes life real simple. Right, definitely. Yeah. Did you feel like you were in a constant state of experimentation in terms of like what was the best diet for you to use and stuff like that? I was always trying different stuff. Like try this, and I've been doing that since I was a kid. I tried to. I think the first one I tried in high school was like a eat to win diet, it was all non-fat milk and all this. Getting used to that was the weirdest thing. Getting used to like a non-fat milk because back then, not that I drink regular milk now, but back then we did 2% was at my house, right? And when you first start drinking non-fat milk, it tastes like water, right? Yeah. Like milk flavored water. Yeah. But then when you've been drinking it for a while, you get used to it. Then 2% tastes like cream. You go back. Yeah. Like after 6 months, I went back to 2%. It tastes like cream. Yeah. And there's something about the whole milk that is like weirdly filling. Like it makes you just feel like you don't need to eat for longer, even though it's such a small percentage of what you just ate. I always noticed that too. Yeah.
Okay, so you just saw the clip, but did you know that you can watch this entire interview right now before it's released to the public, uncensored, by becoming a member for just $5 a month, and there's a lot of other crazy benefits as well. So make sure you hit the link down in the description and sign up. Appreciate y'all.